Tell him that all the land north of that river's mine. Tell him to stay off of it.
Others have thought as you, senor. Others have tried.
And you've always been good enough to stop him?
Amigo, it is my word.
Pretty unhealthy job.
John Wayne remains one of the most iconic figures in American cinema, a towering presence in the history of Western films and a symbol of rugged masculinity. For decades, he was the face of Hollywood's golden era, embodying the values of strength, perseverance, and patriotism.
He is the absolute all-time movie star.
His deep, commanding voice, signature cowboy strut, and no-nonsense attitude made him an enduring cultural icon. Yet behind the scenes, Wayne's life was far more complex than the black and white characters he portrayed on screen. Born as Marion Robert Morrison in 1907, Wayne's journey to stardom was anything but easy.
Pilgrim, you caused a lot of trouble this morning. Might have got somebody killed. And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell.
From humble beginnings in Iowa to struggling through a series of low-budget westerns, he endured years of hardship before breaking into the mainstream with Stagecoach in 1939. His rise to fame, however, came with personal sacrifices, failed marriages, financial troubles, and health struggles that plagued him later in life. Beyond the silver screen, he was a man of contradictions, a conservative political figure who championed traditional values but whose personal life was filled with turbulence and controversy. Even decades after his death, John Wayne's legacy remains polarizing. Some continue to celebrate him as an American hero, while others criticize his controversial statements and outdated views. As new revelations about his personal life have come to light, the public is left to reevaluate the man behind the legend. This exploration into John Wayne's hidden struggles, triumphs, and controversies sheds light on the real person behind the myth, proving that fame does not always equate to a flawless existence. A humble and unusual birth. Before he became John Wayne, the Hollywood giant was born as Marion Robert Morrison on May 26, 1907, in Winterset, Iowa. His early years were far from glamorous. His father, Clyde Morrison, was a pharmacist, while his mother, Mary, struggled to maintain stability in their modest household. When he was just a toddler, his parents changed his middle name to Mitchell after deciding to give the name Robert to his younger brother. This minor shift foreshadowed the many transformations he would undergo later in life. As a child, Wayne faced hardships that shaped his resilience. A near-death experience at an early age, when he fell into an icy creek, only reinforced his will to survive. His family's struggles eventually led them to move to California, where young Marion was introduced to the world of Western landscapes that would later define his career. California was where the seeds of his future persona were planted. It was there that he developed a love for horses, wide-open spaces, and the tough, independent spirit that would one day define his screen presence. Even as a boy, he had an air of determination, unaware that he would one day become one of Hollywood's most legendary figures. The move to California and the birth of a nickname. In 1914, the Morrison family relocated to Glendale, California, searching for better opportunities. This move changed the trajectory of young Marion's life. The transition was not easy, but it introduced him to the world of sports and hard work, which became crucial aspects of his identity. It was in California that he earned his famous nickname, Duke. While most assume it was bestowed upon him later in life, the truth is that it came from his childhood love for his pet Airedale Terrier. He was so inseparable from his dog, Duke, that local firefighters began calling them Big Duke and Little Duke. The nickname stuck, and young Marion Morrison became known as Duke for the rest of his life. Wayne's high school years were marked by a strong work ethic. He excelled in football and won a scholarship to the University of Southern California. His time in college, however, was cut short due to financial struggles. Forced to drop out, he took odd jobs to make ends meet, one of which led him to Hollywood. What seemed like a setback at the time would eventually open the door to an unexpected career in the film industry, setting the foundation for his future fame. Early struggles in Hollywood, from prop man to extra. John Wayne's Hollywood career didn't begin with starring roles or red carpets. Instead, it started humbly at Fox Studios, where he worked as a prop man. He moved sets, carried equipment, and did whatever was needed to stay close to the action. His imposing 6'4" frame and natural charisma made him stand out, but Hollywood was not quick to hand him opportunities. His first appearances in film were as an extra, often going uncredited. He played minor roles in westerns and war movies, gaining experience but little recognition. During this time, he crossed paths with director John Ford, who would later become one of his greatest mentors. Ford saw potential in Wayne, but didn't immediately give him the break he needed. Instead, Wayne spent nearly a decade working in small roles, honing his craft and waiting for his moment. The struggle was real. Wayne barely made enough money to get by. He often slept in his car and worked additional jobs to support himself, but he never gave up. His persistence kept him in the industry long enough for that one opportunity that would change everything. And when it finally came, he was ready. The hardships of low-budget westerns. John Wayne's first leading role came in 1930 with The Big Trail, a big-budget western that was supposed to launch his career. However, the film flopped at the box office, leaving Wayne's future uncertain. Rather than skyrocketing to fame, he was relegated to low-budget westerns, where he toiled away for nearly a decade. During this time, Wayne starred in over 80 B-movie westerns, working under grueling conditions. These films were shot quickly, often in remote locations, and required long hours in extreme weather. The pay was minimal, and the accommodations were rough. Wayne reportedly lived off one meal a day, stretching his earnings as far as they would go. Despite the hardships, these years shaped his screen persona. He perfected the slow, deliberate walk, the signature drawl, and the commanding presence that would later define his career. Though the movies themselves were forgettable, Wayne's ability to play the rugged cowboy was undeniable. Then came his turning point. Director John Ford, who had been keeping an eye on Wayne's progress, decided it was time to give him a real shot. He cast him in Stagecoach, 1939, a film that would finally elevate him from struggling B-movie actor to Hollywood's ultimate leading man. The long years of hardship had finally paid off, and Wayne's ascent to stardom was about to begin. Breakthrough moment. The impact of Stagecoach, 1939. John Wayne's long-awaited breakthrough came in 1939, when director John Ford took a gamble on him for Stagecoach. After nearly a decade of toiling in low-budget westerns, Wayne was finally given a chance to prove himself in a major studio production. Ford insisted that he was the only choice for the role of the Ringo Kid, despite studio hesitations. The now iconic scene introducing Wayne, captured in over 27 takes, showcased his striking screen presence, setting him apart as a leading man. The film was an instant hit, earning critical acclaim and redefining the Western genre. Wayne's rugged charisma and effortless delivery captivated audiences, cementing his status as a star overnight. Stagecoach not only elevated his career, but also ushered in a golden era of westerns, where Wayne would reign supreme. No longer confined to the fringes of Hollywood, he became a household name, sought after by top directors and studios. The success of Stagecoach transformed Wayne's career trajectory. He was no longer just another cowboy actor. He was the cowboy, the embodiment of American strength and resilience. This film set the stage for a remarkable career that would span over 5 decades, making John Wayne a legend in his own right. Rise to icon, cementing a legendary image. With Stagecoach as his launchpad, John Wayne carefully curated his image, taking on roles that solidified him as the ultimate Western hero. He rejected parts that did not align with his persona, opting instead for characters that reflected strength, loyalty, and justice. His partnership with director John Ford became legendary, producing timeless classics such as The Searchers, Rio Bravo, and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Wayne's dominance in Hollywood extended beyond the westerns that made him famous. He successfully transitioned into war films, portraying courageous soldiers in movies like Sands of Iwo Jima and The Longest Day. These roles reinforced his image as a symbol of American patriotism, a figure larger than life who embodied the ideals of bravery and honor. His on-screen persona carried over into his public life, shaping how fans perceived him. He was not just an actor, he became a cultural icon, a man whose name was synonymous with masculinity and American values. But behind this legendary figure was a complicated, often controversial man, whose personal life did not always align with the virtuous heroes he played on screen. Controversial relationships and marriages. While John Wayne's career flourished, his personal life was far from stable. He was married 3 times, each relationship marked by its own share of struggles. His first marriage to Josephine Sayans, a devout Catholic, was strained by his growing fame and long absences from home. Despite having 4 children together, the couple eventually divorced in 1945, a decision that went against Josephine's religious beliefs. His second marriage to Mexican actress Esperanza Bauer was turbulent from the start. Known for her jealousy and volatile temper, Esperanza reportedly accused Wayne of infidelity, leading to heated arguments and alleged physical altercations. The marriage ended in 1954, leaving Wayne emotionally drained. His third and longest-lasting marriage to Pilar Palet seemed more stable, yet it too faced difficulties. As Wayne aged, his health declined, and his lifestyle took a toll on their relationship. Though they remained legally married until his death, they lived separately for years. During this time, Wayne found companionship with his longtime secretary, Pat Stacey, a relationship that remained unofficial but deeply significant in his final years. Despite his status as a Hollywood legend, Wayne's personal relationships were anything but picture-perfect, revealing the contradictions in his carefully maintained image, family legacy, and the hidden will. John Wayne's passing in 1979 revealed surprising details about his final wishes. Despite his deep ties to his last wife, Pilar, Wayne's will heavily favored his children from his first 2 marriages. This decision led to speculation and later legal battles over his vast estate, which included real estate, film royalties, and personal memorabilia. His will did not just distribute wealth, it exposed long-standing tensions within the family. Some of his children openly questioned the fairness of his decisions, while others accepted his final arrangements without protest. The fact that Pilar, his wife of over 2 decades, received significantly less than expected raised eyebrows. Meanwhile, his companion Pat Stacey was left out entirely, despite her role in his later years. Wayne's personal belongings also became a point of interest. From his iconic cowboy hats to handwritten letters, many of his items were locked away until they were auctioned in 2011. The auction revealed never-before-seen artifacts that provided a deeper look into his private life, giving fans a glimpse of the man behind the cowboy legend. Even in death, John Wayne's life remained as complex and layered as the roles he played on screen. Health battles and public vulnerability. Despite his tough guy image, John Wayne was not invincible. His health began to decline in the 1960s, with heavy smoking leading to a lung cancer diagnosis in 1964. In a bold move, he publicly shared details about his surgery, becoming an advocate for cancer awareness. After undergoing the removal of a lung and several ribs, he returned to the big screen, proving his resilience by continuing to work despite his condition. Wayne's health struggles did not end there. In the late 1970s, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, a battle he ultimately lost in 1979. His final years were marked by visible weakness, but he refused to let illness define him. He made one last public appearance at the 1979 Academy Awards, where he received a standing ovation. The once mighty cowboy was frail, yet his spirit remained unbroken. His passing was a national event, with tributes pouring in from Hollywood and political figures alike. While his body succumbed to illness, his legacy endured, proving that even the strongest men are not immune to the ravages of time. His death only deepened the public's fascination with his life, both the triumphs and the controversies that defined him. Controversial comments and the dark side of his persona. John Wayne's towering presence in Hollywood came with an equally imposing persona off-screen. However, his public image took a darker turn when past interviews resurfaced, revealing inflammatory comments on race, Native Americans, and social issues. His 1971 Playboy interview contained statements that many consider deeply offensive, including his support for white supremacy and his dismissive views on Native American history. At the time, his comments reflected a mainstream but outdated perspective. Yet in today's more socially conscious era, they have sparked significant backlash. Debates over Wayne's legacy intensified in recent years, with activists and scholars questioning whether his name should continue to be honored in public spaces. The University of Southern California removed his exhibit, and there have been calls to rename John Wayne Airport in Orange County. While some argue that his views should not overshadow his cinematic contributions, Others believe that honoring him without acknowledging his more controversial beliefs is problematic. Wayne's legacy exists in a gray area. On one hand, he was the embodiment of American rugged individualism. On the other, his views alienated many. The question remains, can we separate an artist from their personal beliefs? For some, his films remain timeless, classics, but for others, his personal views taint his once unshakable image. Real estate and financial ventures. John Wayne's larger-than-life personality extended beyond Hollywood into his financial ventures. Despite earning millions throughout his career, he was never overly concerned with wealth accumulation. Instead, he lived comfortably but not extravagantly, often reinvesting his money into properties and business deals. One of his most prized possessions was his Newport Beach mansion, where he spent his final years overlooking the Pacific Ocean. His real estate portfolio also included a massive Arizona ranch, reflecting his deep connection to the Western lifestyle. Wayne's generosity was one of his defining personal traits. With his first royalty check, he bought a house for his mother, a gesture that highlighted his family-first values. He frequently donated to charities and helped friends in financial distress, further cementing his reputation as a man of the people. However, despite his wealth, he was not known for extravagant spending, preferring a simple, traditional lifestyle. When he passed away in 1979, many were surprised to learn that his estate was valued at a modest $6.85 million, far less than other Hollywood legends. His financial legacy, like his personal one, was full of contradictions. A man who earned a fortune yet valued the simple things in life, proving that wealth was never his primary motivation. Legacy in film and cultural impact. John Wayne's impact on Hollywood and American culture is undeniable. His name is synonymous with Western films, and his signature walk, deep voice, and rugged persona have influenced countless actors. From Stagecoach to The Searchers to True Grit, he set the standard for the Western hero, portraying